Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Before we begin, a few housekeeping items that we'd like to talk about. If you have questions during the presentation, please enter them into the chat box, and one of our panelists will grab them, and we'll answer those questions at the end of the presentation. And we are going to be recording this, and it will be posted to our website, so you'll have the ability to go back and take a look at it. So today, I have April O'Brien joining us, and my name is Lisa Carter, and April is on screen here with us. I am the owner and president of SpartanTec. We've been in business since 2002, so this is our 18th year in business, and we focus on providing security solutions and services, and we are very fortunate to be listed on state contract in both North and South Carolina. April has spent the last 3 years as our channel manager with our partner ID Agent. And she loves cybersecurity and has been a wonderful partner and teacher to our team. And we have really enjoyed working with April. So I'm very glad to have her here with us today.
Thank you, Lisa.
I am going to hand this over to you, April, if you want to talk about how great our service is together.
And the service is great. And one of the great things about working with SpartanTec has been how concerned they are with cybersecurity. Not everybody has been in the forefront, and it has become pretty obvious to most businesses and most organizations that cybersecurity is so incredibly important because, well, as we've discovered these past few months, it is what keeps us going as a business. So what we're going to talk about today is the dark web. A lot of people have heard about the dark web or the dark net. It is a place that you don't want to go. We're also going to talk about some of the things that you may find in there, why it's important for you as a business to monitor and be aware, and talk about training and testing your employees. And I guess the first place to start is a hello. And you can see that there's Lisa and myself. I even have the same blue sweater on today. How interesting.
It's awesome.
Sorry about that. I have been working with ID Agent, and while I am not a cyber criminal or have no real background in cyber criminal activity, I work closely with our security department, and we have a wonderful group of folks that monitor the dark web and keep an eye on what's going on, and they keep us informed. Lisa, you want to talk about something at the end?
Yes, thank you. So at the end of the presentation today, we're going to offer a free bonus to anybody who wants to have a dark web scan to see if you're, not if, but how many of your credentials are out on the dark web. And to be able to do that, we'll tell you how to reach out to us to be able to get it, and then we can securely send that to you, and we'll go over it with you to explain what we found and how you can remediate.
Wonderful. It's always good to have a peek behind the dark web curtain. So what we're going to talk about is monitoring and protecting your digital identity. And your digital identity is your credentials, so your email, all of your employees' emails. There's even your IP addresses and all kind of information. And what you're trying to do is not be exposed on the dark web. Now, that's kind of a hard thing to do. But when you talk about the dark web, people say, what is it? Well, you can see from this graphic example that the people, when they think of the internet, they think of Google and they think of all the websites they know and all the places they visit. That's less than 10% of the internet. So it is just the surface of what the internet has to offer. Underneath that is the deep web, and this is valuable information. This is where medical research and papers and research on how to make the internet better, all kind of really good information that is not indexed. So it's not something you can search for or that you can find. It's someplace you have to know where to look. And then you get into the dark web or the dark net, and that is where the criminal activity is taking place. You will indeed find gun sales and drugs and all kind of nefarious activities. One of the key things that happens on the dark web is the exchange and purchasing of compromised credentials. That is your email, your password, your personal identity information. So your name, address, your phone number. All those pieces of information are what cyber criminals use to be able to get into servers on your business, to be able to develop phishing email campaigns to get your employees to click on something so that they can get into your server. When they get into your server, they may indeed set up something ransomware. They may just be looking for your contacts information. So all of your clients, all of your vendors, this is the information that feeds the cyber criminal. And the bottom line is indeed the bottom line. They want money. Whether it's your money, whether it's people that you are associated with, whatever that is what they're going after. That's the activity that takes place in the dark web. Interestingly enough, it is accessible. If you are crazy and you sign into a Tor browser, which I do not recommend because they are very protective of their particular corner in the world. But this is public information. So when we find information and share it, yes, it is out there, but it is a place that you do not have access to. And that's why it's important to monitor and know what goes on behind there so that you can do something about it. You know, people will say compromised credentials, so what? I mean, my email's out there. Yes, but your email with your password or your email with your personal identity information, that is what the cyber criminals use to be able to get into the business accounts and into other websites. Remember, it's not just your server. It is all the information as businesses that we've been using forever. So when we book travel, when we do other things, that's where those compromised credentials show up. And unfortunately, what happens is when the cyber criminals get that information and they go after the money, it wreaks havoc for businesses, whether it is just taking your systems down, whether it is having to go to your suppliers or your clients and say, we've been hacked and your information has been exposed. That's why 60% of the businesses can go out of business within 6 months. It's not just always money on your case, it is sometimes your reputation. And again, you know, you are the easiest ones to pick on. A lot of businesses will say, I'm too small. You know, it doesn't really matter. I don't have anything. They're not going to make that much money off of me. Again, it's not always just the money. It may be who you have in your contact list. It may be that they just need a couple of $1,000s to go on to the next thing. It may be they need gift cards and they have found a new employee that falls for a phishing scam. Whatever that is, about 43% of the cyber attacks are on small to medium-sized businesses. That means that you are the low-hanging fruit that they are going after. And colleges, in addition, are facing this threat. It is not a matter of if, it is indeed a matter of when it happens. And again, I'm going to emphasize that it's not always money in your particular case, it is your reputation. And as a higher institution of learning, your reputation is paramount. And it's so hard to have to explain to the parents whose students are there that their student social security information and other information was compromised. You want to keep an eye on it. You want to know what's out there so that you can try to mitigate any kind of circumstances that would create an attack. Human error is the way that they get into the school data. So, and this was a really interesting article talking about why higher ed is facing the business email compromise. This has been out there for businesses for a while, but they figured out that schools are businesses too. And so they're going after, again, the vendors as much as anything else that they could use to continue to exploit and find money, find information that they can continue their cyber criminal activity. So you say, well, how are all these breaches happening? And I'm going to go back to that cyber incidents are the result of compromised credentials. Almost 80% of the breaches are the result of a compromised credential being used. So, and I don't know that everybody understands the volume of information. So cyber criminals collect lots and lots of data. They have wonderful databases that they store and they sort. They may use it for a phishing attack. They may use it to be able to hack into the system. They may do a lot of different things, all by that compromised credential. You know, you think you put in your email and a password that you probably use a lot of different ways in a lot of different places. They know that, and they will take that email that you may have used on MyFitnessPal and try to access your bank account or other information. It may be the business credit card that is exposed. They are going to use that information however way, shape, or form they can. And that compromised credential is key to how they get that information. So these are going to be a couple of the different examples of things that we have found on the dark web. So, you know, the coronavirus has provided the cyber criminals a really unique opportunity of capitalizing on people's fears, on people's curiosity, on the lack of information and the need thereof. So you'll find things like this that the cyber criminals have developed. It says, hey, we have this wonderful email that we can send out. And by the way, because we have the company name and the date and other information in our database, it will fill in the fields. And that way, when somebody gets this, and remember, so many people have been working from home and maybe not paying as much attention to things that they're clicking on, they want information. And so they would go and click on that. And sure enough, that would give the cyber criminal potential access to the back end of their computer and other information that may lead into your particular organization. Another one, again, playing up on the whole idea of wanting information, needing to know. This one actually looks fairly good, except I wouldn't answer "Dear Sir." But again, people are not necessarily thinking about it or paying attention to. There's like, oh, what are the safety measures? And sure enough, they click that, and the cyber criminal then has access or maybe even put something on the computer to be able to run malware or something else. This particular one, and yes, I know we're not in the UK, but it's an example of just how good they're getting. So this one is fairly clean, straightforward. I definitely would not know that, except I'm not in the UK, but if I was living there and I saw this, I would say, sure, let me fill in that information and hit find. And again, the cyber criminal is able to get into your system. The sophistication has grown substantially since I started looking at this. I mean, it used to be, it was really easy to pick out a phishing email. Now, not so much. Now they've gotten so that they're clever and they're really working on it. And part of the reason is that they're making a lot of money. So when you, they're looking for people to say, hey, look, we're going to pay you $762,000 to do this. We're going to pay you real money to be able to develop phishing campaigns, to develop ways of hacking into people's servers, to taking the information that we have found, the compromised credentials being the paramount, and figuring out ways of using it to make us money so that we can pay you this kind of money. It's a real business. It is not something that, you know, some little kid in the closet is doing. No, these are people making a very good living off of being able to operate in the dark web from information that comes out of your business. A couple of other examples. This is actually this is something that you would see for sale on the dark web. Or somebody's offering this and say, hey, you know, pay me $2.51 and sure, you can have this information. A lot of people are like, $2.51, how in the world are they going to make that kind of money? The volume of information. It's not something that they are sitting here clicking and sending individual emails. They have programs and systems and things that are set up that do this automatically from the information that they are gathering. So that $2.51 can add up quickly. They don't have to have a whole lot of people that they find that click on things, or they don't have to, once they gather this information, they can sell it and people are buying it to be able to say, great, I've got this person's information. Let me go in and do something else, make a little money, do something that I can then continue my activities. Another one is, you know, they even certify that it's, you know, 500 score or better. So a little bit more expensive because you're paying for quality information. Again, they're working really, really hard. You'll notice here it says, hey, offer us feedback, and we even have a refund policy if it's not what you need. This is a business. This is not some hooded kid. This is actually people that have figured out ways of making this work. Not that you would necessarily have this in your business, but they are selling other information as well. Medical people have a real need to know that their medical information is not being exported and sold. Again, only for $5.50, you can have a scan of a high quality real person. This is the kind of information that is being sold and being used on the dark web. And as I mentioned, the COVID attack has definitely made an impact. One of the things that we have recommended and shared with SpartanTec is to be able to, what to look for in a phishing email. So yes, of course, you want to say there's an attachment. Do I know this person that I want to open the attachment? You may look at the fake email address. This one's kind of hard to, unless you're looking for it, that is Miller Supply. Two ends. That would be a dead giveaway if you were thinking about it and paying attention. And the other piece of it is, of course, the poor grammar. The urgency is another key. You must do this. It's important. It's urgent. You have to do it immediately. So this is the kind of information that SpartanTec can help you understand and know what to look for to help train your employees and to be able to share information to help keep you safe. The human factor is definitely key. So what a lot of people don't realize is they say, well, I'll just change the password on my server. The password on your server, absolutely, please do that. But where else? Who is doing your payroll information? Who is buying your office supplies? What about in your banking and your when we do get to book travel again? Your employees are, for very valid reasons, using their business email out in the internet to be able to do business. And when they do that, they create a password. And if that password is compromised, that then could potentially expose your business to a cyber criminal to do bad things, or maybe plant some additional malware or other things onto your system to be able to, again, make money. That is their goal. So now that you know that cybercrime is indeed a business, what are you supposed to do about it? Well, when you look at something like this, it's amazing that it doesn't take a whole lot of money to keep a cybercriminal going. What is important is for you to take steps to keep this, to keep from being the low-hanging fruit. Honestly, if a cybercriminal really wanted to get into your system, they're going to be able to do so probably. But by putting up those blocks, by knowing what's going on in the dark web, do you have compromised credentials? Do you need to think about those passwords? Do you need to maybe do training and awareness for your employees, or do you need to test them to see if they are clicking on things? Those are the steps that you can take in addition to all the technical systems that SpartanTec can help you with if needed, to be able to put that little bit of a roadblock up between you and the cyber criminal and have them move on to the next. Again, it may not completely stop them, but they haven't got time to sit there and try to figure something out. They want to move on to this is too hard, let me go to the next thing. And one of the things I do like to point out is that they need to take cybersecurity seriously and implement blueprints and frameworks that manage risk, breach detection, and recovery. These are steps that now small businesses have to take. Enterprise, larger organizations have been doing this for years. They have been monitoring the dark web. They have put security systems into place. As a small business, it is now in your court to be able to say, now what, and what do I do, and who can help me with that? We've talked about that, most of the breaches take place in small businesses. The average cost is $200,000, and that could include, the equipment, that could include some of the time, but it doesn't include that long stretch of, that 6 months where you have to reinvent yourself, maybe even explain to your customers, maybe even win back business. And so that 200,000 is just an average. It can be a lot worse. And then the cyber attacks have gone up year over year. From 2018 to 2019, from 40 to 55%. I did hear a report not too long ago that Q1 of 2020, there has been a 350% increase in cyber attacks because of the activity from cyber criminals taking advantage of what the world has been going through. The role of dark web monitoring is a piece of the puzzle. So of course you want to have all of your systems set up correctly. You want to have the right people, you want to have the right systems in, you want to have all of those technical pieces that make it happen. So that's great. The other piece of it is to monitor the dark web, to know if you are potentially vulnerable in a particular instance. Maybe an employee has clicked on something they didn't mean to or shouldn't have, or maybe there's information that has been found somewhere else. So being aware of that and keeping an eye on it is a piece of the puzzle. The other piece is the culture of an organization. And this can be everything from the testing to see if people are clicking on things, to the training, just to make sure that your employees know what they're supposed to be doing, and maybe what they're not supposed to be doing on the internet, because that is where we're doing business these days. And that means building your human firewall. This interesting little slide, these are phishing clicks by industry. So you can see education is one of the higher ones. People in the education industry, because you're curious, because you are looking for information, and you're reaching out across the internet on a regular basis, it does seem to have one of the higher clicks when people are sent phishing emails. So it's something to be aware of, that in general, you are vulnerable, and that high click rate may indeed translate into danger for your systems. Lisa, I believe you have a testimonial to share.
So we do, and I know that most of you on this call today probably know Pete Galling. I know you do if you're in South Carolina. It's a rather long one, but Pete was one of our initial early adopters for this service. And so he has been a great evangelist for the rest of the technical colleges in the South Carolina area. So I'm not going to read this to you. You can read it yourself. But he's been very, very happy with the service and continues to enjoy it and gets a lot from it. And he gets a lot of reports. And so these reports happen whenever there's anything that's found on the dark web. It doesn't just look once a week and then, oh, by the way, we found this on Tuesday and we're sending it to you on Friday to go in and check. We get reports on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day. And so Pete has told me that he's really helped us, that we've really helped him, excuse me, be a lot more proactive with his IT security, and he's had some really good stories to share.
I like the part that it says, it has also educated us on the behaviors of our clients and employees.
Yes.
And going back to that, knowing what is going on and being able to act upon it is key.
Yep.
So thank you, Beth. Were there any questions?
Okay, I just unmuted myself, and I do. I've got a couple questions for you. Let's see. Here's one. I change my password every day. Wait, every 90 days. Why do I need to monitor?
I actually hear this one a lot, because it is a good practice to have a regular change of information. But what happens on day one after you have changed your password into your systems? And the other thing that comes up is you've changed your password on your server, but do you go every 90 days and change the password on your bank accounts, on all the places that you have used your business credit card information? Do all of your employees go to all those places and change their password as well? The 90-day change, or even more often, is a good practice. It gets confusing to employees sometimes, but it doesn't prevent the cyber criminal from gathering that information. Then on day one, after you have changed that password, they then have 89 days to make it happen. The faster you know about a compromised credential, the faster you can go in and make changes that may prevent a cyber attack.
Not to mention that there are a lot of people who use the same username and password across multiple applications. So it makes it a little bit easier, just depending on which particular applications they may have used that on. So always a good practice to be very, very proactive with your security.
All right, another question came in. If I'm keeping an eye on my own email, watching for my own compromises, why do I need to watch the staff's?
Again, your employees are, and the staff, whoever it is in the business, they are using the business email for real business purposes. Unfortunately, they do slip in the MyFitnessPal or something like that every once in a while, but all the office supplies, all the payroll, all of those places require a login information. If you are not paying attention to that business email that is out in the intranet and being used, that is where you could possibly be compromised. And I'll also point out that it doesn't matter if that's a current employee. It could also be an employee that's not there anymore. They could use that information to be able to develop a phishing scheme, or maybe send out to some of your vendors to get them to change information. There are so many examples of people clicking on something, not thinking about it. They recognize the business. Oh, this is from the college. I need to click on this and find out what it is. And it could actually be some bad information that is included with that, or that the cyber criminal could use it in other ways. It's not just you, it is your business email that is being compromised. It's not just your email, although yours is very important. It is important to know what is going on overall in the business.
Okay, we do have one more. We're small. Why would a cyber criminal target us?
I would say 5-7 years ago, it probably was not as prevalent as it is now. Cyber criminal activity attacking small to medium-sized businesses is because you have not put up those barriers. You have not looked in the dark web to see if you're being compromised. You have not put up those systems and technological areas that would prevent a cyber criminal from being able to get in. You have not educated your employees to know whether or not they should click on something. The cyber criminals have figured this out. You are the low-hanging fruit now. You are easy. They can get into you, get some basic information, maybe make a few bucks, and then move on. You have become the target.
I don't have any other chats unless anybody has any other questions.
Okay, Lisa?
All right. Well, thank you for your questions and thank you for attending today. And I mentioned to you earlier that we were offering you a free scan for participating and just listening to our presentation. And to be able to do that, you can call the office, which the telephone number is here. It's 843-418-4792, and speak with one of our sales team. You can email me directly. You see my email address. And lastly, you can go to our website if you don't actually want to talk to somebody and you just want to kind of poke around a little bit. We have, you can go to SpartanTec.com/darkweb. There's a little video on there. You can take a look at that, and you can request the dark web scan. We just need to make sure that we have your domain name that you want scanned. And then we will put that together. We'll send you a secure link for you to download it, so it won't be a phishing link, by the way. And I will contact you, or one of our salespeople will contact you to let you know that it's coming. You can download it, take a look at it, and we will explain to you what the report is providing to you. So it's very, very simple. One of 3 ways that you can access it. All right. Well, thank you again for attending today, and look forward to working with you as we go forward, and have a great rest of your day.